Well, good morning, and I would say good evening to some of our participants, and happy to have everyone here from truly across the United States and across Russia as well, all the way to the far east of Russia from Vladivostok. So, and also, of course, from one of our very good sister city relationships in Volgograd. So again, welcome to everybody. And we will, let me mention the program that has been announced. We've got two official speakers who I'm very proud to present. And then also another presenter or two actually about the showcase that Sister Cities International is sponsoring. So let me start off with Elena Parubochaya from Volgograd State University, who I asked her to tell us about how she and her delegation was received in the sister city of Cleveland. They went there amazingly last summer, delegation visit, restoring and renewing that relationship with many activities there. So Elena, the floor is yours. And let me also turn it over to you as the host. Let's see where I do that, or there's a, let's see here. I will, oh yeah, I guess I've got to, I haven't done this in a while. I hate to, but let me get some more people into the room. There we go. Okay. So,
thank you for being here. Can you hear me?
We can see you, Elena.
Can you hear me?
Oh, Anna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I'm going to share the screen.
Yeah, please.
Oh, I go up here to the top. That's it right there. There it is. I'll make the host. There we go.
Right.
All right. As long as you give it back to me. Go ahead.
So I hope you can see the presentation.
Well, I've just made you the host, so you can.
Okay, just a second. Just let me. One second, please. Okay. I hope
Oh, it's coming up. There we go.
So I hope you can see it now.
And what you can do also, sometimes people forget that down in the lower right, you can click on a presentation screen.
Okay.
So that,
once again, Bill, dear friend, thank you for giving me this opportunity and talk about our visit to Cleveland. Actually, it was not in summer, it was in during the fall, but the weather was fantastic. And while you're watching the photos from Cleveland, you can really imagine that it was summer. So I would say I just want to remind that Volgograd and Cleveland have been sister cities since 1990. And the main purpose of our visit to Cleveland was a participation in annual Cleveland Sister Cities Conference. So just a few words about some facts about our Sister Cities Corporation. I would show you some photos of our Cleveland Sister City Conference. It was started in 2019, and I'm the luckiest person from Volgograd because I participated in this conference. It was for the first time. It was a personal visit, and then we participated in the online Sister City Conference. It was during the pandemic, but we still were participating and organizing different events. And last year, we participated in the third Sister Cities Conference. So the event was attended by representatives of public organization, educational institutions from Egypt, India, Romania, Great Britain, Albania, and many other countries. And the purpose of the conference to develop international relations by establishing contacts between representatives of public, educational, cultural organization of sister cities. And we try to expand international cooperation, exchange practices. Such meetings really provide a unique opportunity to discuss and develop our relations in a new field. And of course, we may increase the level of awareness of foreign societies about it. Sister city movement deepen the cultural interaction of cities and countries. So we met this, you can see from photos when we discussed our ideas we were going to present during the conference. And here you can see the conference place in the Cleveland Public Library. We really had an opportunity to present a very interesting project that we launched together with another group of sister cities. I should say about our project 4 cities of this. And the results of this project were discussed during the Cleveland.
Excuse me, sorry, Elena, to interrupt. You may want to advance the slides, I think, there. We just have the whole set on the left and then the one that you've selected in front of us. So if you're going to, if it is the time to advance the slide, please
okay,
do so.
just a second. We will try to deal with it, and because I see the screen, the changing of the screens. Okay. one minute. I'm sorry. Let us see. We'll do. And can you see if you do it like this?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it in this way. So this is, I was talking about the first conference, the second online. This is the third. Conference, and we participated in last year when we visited Cleveland. So I pay attention to the conference, the room where we could meet each other and discuss our project. I'm so sorry. The conference was, during the conference, we presented them, the result of our project for cities. I would pay attention to this project just because it's not only a project that in Volgograd, now. We met each other, we had, I think, 7 workshops, and this for several months, the project participants met in the framework of regular workshops and discussed features of educational system, culture of Russian Federation in the United States. As part of online session held in spring and summer, students from both countries exchanged, shared photos, talked about the way they spent holidays, how do they exchange and told each other about their school and university schedules, presented significant historical and cultural locations of their cities. So actually this project started when we gathered together in Volgograd during roundtable Volgograd Cleveland Sister Cities. It was in 2019, and I have already talked about this event. And we met each other, people from Cleveland and Arkhangelsk came, and we talked that we would like to do something together, not only between 2 cities, Cleveland and Volgograd, but Arkhangelsk and Portland wanted to join us. So what did we do? We did several workshops I have already mentioned. We launched the competition, My City Through My Eyes, in which participants from 4 cities shared photos of their favorite places and their home cities, And the work of the winners were presented in the format of the exhibition, which were held in each city. So we opened our exhibition of the winners from 4 cities in December. So you can see these photos, the participants and the winners. We had a excellent opening meeting where students could talk each other and explain why we chose exactly this photo. This event held in many the other cities as well. You can see the exhibition in Portland, then in Cleveland and in Arkhangel. So we also created a special booklet. It was really interesting. But among these, we also signed a memorandum of understanding between 4 cities, Volgograd, Cleveland, Arkhangel, and Portland. It is also within the 3rd Sister Cities Conference in October. We agreed to promote peace together and go on with our project. So you may see a lot of people, students who participated in the event, our colleagues, Lisa, which is the president of Council of International Programs, people from Portland, people from Arkhangel. The other slide is showing the way we discussed our future plans. So you may see some other actions. We visited schools, Cleveland schools. We met with people whom we met online before. The other school also, you may see the teacher who supported us and gave up opportunity to meet with his students and pupils. Here you see the Russian class, American students that are studying Russian, and they also joined our project. The other meeting was in Kent State University. We have been cooperating with Volgograd State University. Have been cooperating with Kent universities for over 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. The other meetings with our partners in Russian Cultural Garden. And you may see the president of Cleveland Volgograd State University College. Here, so he showed the photo of the newspaper about the event, about Sister City Conference. And after the Cleveland, we went to Washington, where we shared the results of our cooperation with Sister Cities at the conference organized by Open World. So I would say special gratitude to Open World Leadership Center, and especially to Alex Lukov, who is the regional director of the program, because Open World gave us an opportunity to travel to US in 2019, and I think that this was our really great opportunity for us to meet with people personally, and after that we could increase our cooperation. So just a few words to remind about this event, about Open World program and our meeting. So we participated. There were a lot of events. I just want to pay attention to one of that, Russian Community Day, that was launched during my previous visit to Cleveland. And you can see the Russian ballot. It's the City Hall of Cleveland. It was an amazing day. But now we are still celebrating it. We know there is a Russian Community Day proclamation, and we're still celebrating this day together with Cleveland and Volgograd, but it was last time it was online. Now the event, International Day of Cosmonautics. Together, 4 teachers celebrated it. We had an online meeting where we shared presentation with each other, students and people from universities and schools joined this event. We organized competition, but it was not photo competition, it was drawing competition. And we have a site, a Volgograd Cleveland site, and there you can see the drawings of students and pupils of 4 features. They're all presented there. Besides these, the YouTube recording of laying flowers at the bust of Yuri Gagarin in the Russian Cultural Garden in Cleveland was also organized together with our partners. And online events, we are communicating and participating in online events here in Volgograd Dialect. In December, it was Sister City Successful Practices of Partnership and Intercultural Communication. So we met together here in Volgograd. And the last meeting, it was several days ago, we organized online meeting. Stalingrad is a symbol of courage and heroism in the struggle for peace. 4 speakers met together, and we talked. We want to remind about this terrible event that happened in Stalingrad. We talked about Stalingrad battle because this battle played a key role during the Second World War and during the Great Patriotic War. So we know that this is this battle is one of the most fierce and bloody battles in the history of mankind. And we are happy to know that people in Cleveland and Portland know about that, and they shared their own experience of visiting Volgograd. They expressed gratitude to Soviet soldiers and Stalingrad defeaters, and promised to come back with their families. So, and taking these opportunities, I also want to invite you to visit Volgograd one day, and we will do our best to organize the best visit. And I do believe that we will increase our preparation. Now we are preparating within 4 cities: Volgograd, Cleveland, Arkansas, Portland, and we will be happy if other cities could join us either online or personally. We hope that one day we would have an opportunity to travel to Cleveland. And today my partner Lisa Party said that she's going to come to Volgograd to participate in our Volgograd dialect this year personally. It's very nice. We like online format, but nothing can be changed by the personal meeting, because without personal meetings we can't do the really the much you want, just because you have to meet people, you should exchange ideas, and it's much better. But nevertheless, I'm happy to present our the beginning of our work. I think we will go on, and we'll be happy if other teachers join our project. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Elena. That was an outstanding presentation. And let's see, if you be sure to go to the dots on my screen and turn the meeting over to me, make me again the host. But that was an excellent presentation, both of the content of the visit and how it was shown to us, the preparation of all of those slides, which really bring to life the visit that you had. So how many days were you in Cleveland and then also in Washington?
So we stayed 1 week in Cleveland, and almost, I think, 5 days it was in Washington, just because we had a lot of, in Cleveland we have every day we have different meetings in schools and universities, but so in Washington we had trainings, we exchanged our work. It was 5 days.
Right.
So it was
and that was organized by One World.
Yeah, the Washington program was organized. The Washington program was organized by the Open World. Actually, Open World gave us an opportunity to travel in 2019. So it was an excellent opportunity because exactly at that time I could meet all my partners I'm still communicating with and working together with. So yeah, that was fantastic.
And how many were in the delegation from Volgograd?
Well, this year I was the only one. That is the problem, just because we should take into consideration that there is a visa issue. Fortunately, I did not have this problem. I had visa, I got visa 2 years ago, but some of my colleagues did not have an opportunity to come just because they did not have visa. That is an issue. Now we were planning to come to Cleveland on 27th or 7th of April, but we are not able to come this days just because we have another vaccination restrictions. Just people in Russia have Sputnik, but to come to US, you have to have another vaccine. That is the issue. But we have a group that is really wants to come from different universities. We're planning to come in April. We hope that it will happen, but a bit later.
Right. Well, very good. That's really an outstanding, as I said, presentation of that visit. And we can take some questions after our next presentation. So, but Elena, thank you very much. You do, and the university, a terrific job with the annual forums that are conducted one day in the city of Volgograd, pretty much by the city, but then at the university. And I've been very privileged to participate in those programs for 4 or 5 years, and always very good hospitality and welcoming by everyone. So thank you very, very much. Okay, now I'm very pleased to introduce a very good colleague of mine, Lily Ong, who's had quite a career in journalism, both print and broadcast, and also in diplomacy, citizen diplomacy. And she's certainly a unique person that has been both a track 1 and a track 2 diplomat, and has also been educated in diplomacy in Moscow most recently. And she is speaking us today from Singapore, which is quite an accomplishment, probably close to midnight there at least. And at least we're happy to see her right there at home, and rather not a train. So Lily, tell us about, if you would, mention your education that you had in Moscow, and then going on to your participation at the Valdai Discussion Club. Lily.
Good morning, Bill, and good evening to the lady friend in Vladivostok. Yeah, it's past midnight here, so not a lot of people can get me up at midnight to do a presentation except Bill. So thank you so much for the invitation. So Bill wanted me to speak on my education. I'll start on that. I'm doing my PhD at MGIMO, which is the Moscow State Institute of International Relations. It is run by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I'm doing my thesis in international relations, foreign policy, Russia's relations with some of the major organizations and countries around the world. It's still developing, so it's still very fluid and dynamic, especially with what's going on in the world today. So let me delve into the Valdai Discussion Club. I have to apologize. I have no pretty slides for you guys, so you have to bear with me here. Now, the Valdai Discussion Club was started in 2004. It is named after Lake Valdai, which is close to where the club's first meeting took place. And among its founders, the founding organization was CFDP, which is the Council on Foreign and Defense Policy, RIAC, which is the Russian International Affairs Council, MGIMO, Moscow State Institute of International Relations, which is my school, and HSC, the Higher School of Economics, which is run by the National Research University. So both were very good schools. Now, essentially what Valdai Club does, it holds these high-level conferences that are attended by leading politicians, experts, public figures. President Putin makes it a point to attend it every year. So he's always at the annual general meeting year after year. In fact, he has never missed a single one since its founding. And Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also attends them. From the international community, we tend to see the likes of prime ministers, presidents, chancellors, and even top business leaders like Jack Ma of Alibaba. So Valdai doesn't just host those in the geopolitical arena. They welcome movers and shakers across different fields: energy, security, sociology, communications, and so on and so forth. I'm like the smallest fry there. Now, they have regional programs as well, such as Asian, Middle Eastern, Russian, China, Euro-Atlantic, and they hold sessions at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum and the EEF in Vladivostok, which is the Eastern Economic Forum. So in the beginning, the club started with the mission of telling the world about Russia, because, you know, to most of us, Russia is some exotic country far, far away, some exotic and cold country. So they started out with the mission of telling the world about Russia. In 2011, it also set up a foundation for expanding its activities to include research, outreach, and regional programs. And then in 2014, that's when Valdai sort of did a pivot from simply telling the world about Russia to setting up this platform.
Excuse me, let me
Yes.
just ask Elena to again
Yes.
make me the host. Okay, I've got to let some other people in. So go to the three dots up in my screen and make me the host. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, Lily.
It's okay, it's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so in 2014, Valdai did a pivot from simply telling the world about Russia to providing a platform for assessments and discussions of political and economic issues. And the objective is this: the objective is to promote dialogues and to find solutions for some of the problems that exist in the international system. Now, the people that are running it, since I'm asked to share my personal experience, Andre is the chairman. He is highly experienced. He came with tons of media and academic experience. He was in the TV business, the radio business, and I believe that he is still serving as the chairman of the Public Advisory Council at the Russian Ministry of Communications. And then there's Fyodor, who is a highly distinguished international journalist for many, many years. Oh, you know him? Yeah. So at one point he was.
Can you see that?
Sorry?
I'm the second one, the one that's framed in green now.
You might want to mute yourself though. I think you're.
Oh. So Fyodor was serving at one point as the chairman of CFDP, which is also one of the founders of Valdai and one of Russia's oldest NGOs. And because, you know, we have these two gentlemen who are so passionate about their work and the mission of the club, you can see that same energy running through the rest of the team that works there. And I'm saying this from my personal experience of dealing with them. From the minute that I was invited to moderate, they took care of my visa, my accommodation, of my flight very quickly. It was all sorted out very quickly. I guess that was one way to make sure I don't back out of it. Not that I would, because I was just too grateful for the opportunity. And from the minute I landed in Moscow to the time I was picked up by the car that was sent for me, it was only a span of 20 minutes. I mean, that is how efficient these guys are. So my event was the 12th Asian Conference. There were 3 sessions. Mine was a closed door because it was classified as sensitive. So I can't tell you the content of our discussion, but I can tell you the topic. The topic of my panel was Asia Pacific versus Indo-Pacific, and how things might pan out given, you know, the new initiatives and alliances that are coming about. So yes, Valdai does that. Some of the events are open to the public and some of them are closed to the public. But I think the biggest value of Valdai is how it's able to get people of very opposing views together in one room and just let them hash it out. But we were all very civil. Nobody threw shoes at anybody. So the stage of Valdai truly is anything but an echo chamber. And my panel and at least 1 or 2 other that I witnessed were all non-scripted conversation. It was all off the cuff, on the spot. I had my computer with me because I was literally typing out the questions as we went along. I had no idea what they were going to say. They had no idea what I was going to ask them. But I think that's what makes the discussions very authentic and very candid. I was actually very tired because I was up since 4 a.m. I was jet lagged. But once I got on stage, the adrenaline just came on. So that's really that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If it's something I can disclose or know the answer to, I'll be happy to share. And know that you don't have to limit yourself to asking me what I just talked about. I mean, you can ask me about the weather in Singapore too.
Well, that's great, Lily. What would you say with the number of attendees at this particular conference?
So it's somewhat of a very exclusive event. I would say there were about 50.
Right.
But in the audience were very, you know, distinguished. There were a few foreign ministers, ambassadors, type people in the audience. Yeah.
And was this over 2 days or 1 day?
It was over 2 days, but I was there for 2 weeks, but it was over 2 days. And I will tell you, some of the best conversations were not even those on stage. It's those off stage conversations you have with these people over meals, 3 hours meal, 2 hours meals. I mean, you learn so much just from, you know, sitting at the same table with them.
There are other questions from anyone? Peter? No?
No.
Anyone else?
Thanks for asking.
Right. What about other activities?
I'm sorry. I saw something in the chat. There's a question that came out of the chat. Let me just, okay, let me just read it. Okay. What is the club's attitude towards the Russian-Ukrainian conflict? All right, and sorry, I did not catch the club's name. So the club's name is Valdai Discussion Club. You can actually Google online. There'll be plenty of information on there. So to Valentina's question, what is the club's attitude towards Russian-Ukrainian conflict? The club doesn't have a single attitude because it's not made up of one particular individual. It's a platform where different views are, you know, put forth. So it's not just one single attitude or one single train of thought that they hold on to. And I think that's the value because it welcomes a diversity of views.
And what are the other activities of the club in addition to that particular meeting, which may have been an annual convening? But what else does the club do? Are there a series of such meetings, publications, or what have you?
Yes, they have publications. So in 2011, when they set up the foundation, they started expanding the activities to also include outreach and research. So they have a whole panel of experts, international experts that will contribute articles from time to time.
So where was this held? Was it in Moscow?
Yeah, this was in Moscow. This was in Moscow.
Right.
Yeah, but they do rotation. It's not always in Moscow, and it's not always in the same location in Moscow. I didn't really know where the location was. It wasn't disclosed until it was close to the date.
Right. 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 Okay. Yeah. Well, this is quite interesting. I think it's a very high-profile event, as you described, and it's hardly, but not well known at all in the West. I think, or in the US anyway.
Well, those people who know about it in the West actually refer to this as the Russian version of the Davos. I'm sure everybody has heard of Davos. So this is like the Russian version of Davos.
Right, right. Well put. Well, any other questions by anyone? Somehow I fell off the screen here. All right.
I wish I knew enough to ask a question. I was unable to get in at the point of origin of the meeting, so I'm sort of trying to catch up. But don't misinterpret that for disinterest. I love the idea of having these transnational conversations, and will be a more active participant as I learn what somebody is saying.
And Peter, where are you from?
I live in Santa Barbara, and I am part of the Chinese city of Weihai. We have a Weihai Sister City Association in Santa Barbara, and I discovered Weihai. I guess other people discovered well before I did. In 1987, I'm a retired professor of political science, and I directed study abroad programs in China and once in Russia, and actually in Ukraine, and then several times in Vietnam.
Very interesting. Well, we look forward to your continued participation and visiting with us.
Well,
Okay.
Bill, if they're not going to ask me questions, can I ask them questions?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to know, what are the sentiments like where you guys are? Because I know some are in Russia and most of you guys are in America. With regards to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, what is the sentiments like on the ground there? Because I tell you, when I went to Moscow, it was so calm. It was really, but as soon as I stepped out of Moscow, all the war drums started beating again. So how are things like where you guys are? What are the media, the newspaper, what are they saying?
Well, I think there's a lot of hype in the media, but I don't want to get into my personal views too much, but there's a lot of drum beats going on. Actually, I'm participating in a conference tomorrow on this very issue, and it's put on by the New York City Foreign Policy Affairs Center in New York, and someone who normally participates with us here, Edward Lozansky, who's the president of the American University in Moscow, is another participant. There are 4 of us that are going to speak about this crisis, how it started, etc. So I don't want to tip my hand and give you my point of view necessarily. We do want to, not to cut this off, but I'm doing it. We need to talk about the Young Authors and Artists Showcase that's coming up. But if there are a couple of other comments that want to be made, make them, but make them brief, if I may say so. But my opinion is there's a lot of hype and much more anxiety in the US than in other places. So.
Yeah, I would just quickly echo what Bill said. On the ground, people day to day, it's not a subject of much discussion. In the media, it's a frenzy. And it seems to be, in some ways, you don't hear as much news about it every day. You're hearing more about Olympics and things like that. And it's still a very important topic, but it doesn't seem to be as prominent as it was a few weeks ago. But it's still there, of course.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Well, let's bring in Jina Shim, who is from the SCI office, who is coordinating the Young Artists and Authors Showcase. We'll talk a little bit about that. I have sent messages out to as many of the cities that I know of in the US that have partnerships in Russia, encouraging them to approach their partners to make submittals. So Jina, why don't you unmute and tell us about the showcase? And I think you also can show us a brief video, but I'd have to make you the host to do that. Why don't you tell us about it first, and then let me know when I will make you the host, and then you turn me back. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. I'm Jina from Sister Cities. I will actually briefly share my screen once I am made the host.
Okay, just a second.
So, yeah.
Let me get to
So we have the Young Artists and Authors Showcase that we are hosting this year for 2022. And all the information is on our site. The website is live. Everything is available to see. The theme this year is Generation Rescue, Sustainable Water for All. And so we ask students to go beyond what sustainable water means in general, but apply it to their communities and see how sustainable water impacts their communities, whether it's their local communities that they're actually living in or the communities that are affected in regards to their sister city partnerships, et cetera, et cetera. So I will briefly walk through this application form as well as just the website. Let me
So there
share
are
the
6
screen here.
categories of art and authorship, correct?
We have 6 categories this year, so I'll get there in a moment. But once you get onto our website, actually, let me start from the beginning here. When you get onto our homepage, we have slider images on the very front of our screen. Is everyone able to see that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll go here and we'll see announcing the 2022 YAS theme. You can go ahead and click on that. And it shows us all the information regarding YAS 2022. If you click on apply now, we'll be able to see the actual application form. When you click on the one pager, you'll be able to see a one pager regarding the YAS program that you'll be able to use to distribute to your local sister cities, to the schools, to neighborhoods, whatever that might be. This one pager will be pretty helpful to you to be able to give a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but the best place to look for all the information is to look on our website. So like I said earlier, this year's theme is Generation Rescue, Sustainable Water for All. And we're talking about sustainability in general as well. We're trying to keep that theme for the next couple of youth programs. This is last year's winner, so something nice to look at. We're going to scroll down a bit here and we'll see, we encourage our youth to be creative and examine all aspects of this year's theme, including, and there's a list of questions. This is to encourage our students to think about things that are beyond what they know immediately. How can they use some critical thinking to be able to apply it to their communities and to their external communities that they're still connected to? These questions are actually going to be asked in this application form once they get there. There's a sample application form somewhere on this page as well that will be useful for our students when they're doing their applications. Additionally, we have some more resources for our students to use so they can click through those. This is also our application form here. We have several places for it. For our categories, like I said earlier, we have 6 categories. We have first the artist showcase with a classic medium requirement. And we have that because our next category is the artist showcase digital medium. So that means anything that is created using software, computers, other electronic devices, so using your computer, a tablet, blah, 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 so drawing, things like that. We are not taking moving art pieces here, so please note that. We ask that everyone who is going to be coordinating read the category guidelines very carefully, as we did have a lot of issues last year with people submitting digital mediums, even though we were not accepting them. So by reading really carefully what our guidelines are, you'll be able to avoid any confusion. The next category is going to be the photographer showcase. And then the next is author showcase, so an essay. We also have the poets showcase and musicians showcase. So last year, for the first time, we had the musician showcase and we had reinterpreted and original pieces. This year, we will only be having original pieces, and in place of reinterpreted pieces, we added in a digital medium for the artist showcase. Are there any questions so far? No. Okay. We also have an FAQ here. This FAQ will be really helpful for any students or any teachers, any community organizers that will be helping to coordinate all of this. We do have a fair number of questions on here. If there are any other questions, please feel free to message us. And you can email us at youth@sistercities.org. That's also on this page, so you can find that, but please email us at youth@sistercities.org if there are any questions. We also have some tips and tricks on how to organize your local competition. This document will help local organizations to create their own YAS programs in the case that they want to do that, or use that to kind of narrow down who they're going to send their, whose applications they're going to send to our national program. This is a huge thanks to Kay Sargent's YAS program, YAS presentation, as we were able to use that to create this document. We also have a video that is a tutorial on how to manage the Young Artist and Author Showcase application, as well as creating a Google account for those who are having issues with that. So this video is about 15 minutes long, it's 14 minutes and 41 seconds. This video is really helpful in showing you the step-by-step instructions on how to create the Google account, how to be able to go through and manage the actual application, et cetera, et cetera. So you can also see last year's winners by clicking at the very end of the page here as well. I am seeing that Tim quickly and Peter Hasland have their hands up. Tim?
So I just, I want to compliment you. Gina, I want to compliment you and Kay. This has really professionalized this program, and the video in and of itself, I've had a couple of possible applicants tell me that they've used the video already. So
good. I'm glad. I'm glad it was helpful.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Peter?
My question has to maybe easily answered. To what extent are we seeking to have students from our own area as opposed to students from the sister city with which we are affiliated?
Yeah, so that really depends on the actual sister city, what they decide to do, because last year we had actually a pretty equal amount, I would say 50% international, 50% local, domestic US students. We encourage any and all students. One of the only requirements that we have is that the students are affiliated with a dues paying organization who is in good standing. So I know that we have had a couple of sister cities who are reaching out to their US sister cities to make sure that they're up to date on their dues, they're in good standing, that everything is cleared up so that the international sister city can participate. For example, if Washington, D.C. is sister cities with Mexico City, and Washington, D.C. has not paid their dues and they're not in good standing, that means that Mexico City is also not in good standing. It means that they're not able to apply. However, even if Mexico City is not paying their own dues, if Washington, D.C. is a dues paying member, they're in good standing and everything is all squared away, because Washington, D.C. is a dues paying member, all of their sister cities, whether it's one of them or 10 of them, all of them are officially in our network in the capacity of dues paying members as well, even if they're not personally paying the dues. So that being said, we just have to make sure that everyone is up to date with their payments and everything like that. Everything's all good, but we do encourage any and all students to apply. One thing that I forgot to mention, Peter, thank you for bringing this up, is that we have a limit of 5 students per category per sister city. Does that make sense? So each sister city organization, whether it's an international one or a US one, they can each send in 5 submissions for each of the categories. So that means that in total, they have 30 submissions possible. Does that make sense for everyone? I know that was like a mouthful.
No, I would guess the intent there is to make the process a bit more manageable, given
Yeah,
the number of
absolutely.
sister cities that exist, and to multiply that number by 30, I would imagine that would be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, last year alone, we had several hundred applications, and that was because we had to disqualify some folks for, we had a smaller number because we had to disqualify some folks for not being able to follow the guidelines or because they had sent in too many applications and whatnot. So, we do have to keep it down to a manageable number, but that's a great thing for us. That means that the program is successful.
Yes,
Mhm.
I would agree. And
Yeah.
are there plans for sunshining the winners? They're all winners, I suppose, in one way, but over a Zoom conference like this?
Yeah, so actually, during our Youth Leadership Summit, which we have not yet announced, but the tentative dates are sometime in June, we are going to announce all of the winners for the YAS program in that Youth Leadership Summit, which will have a public forum. That public forum will be open to anyone and everyone. It's free to attend. It'll be online. It'll be streamed just like a Zoom conference. So it will be available for everyone to see. We also do have an online showcase, and I will show on the screen here. We have congratulations 2021 Young Artist and Author Showcase winners. We can see, each of the winners' arts here, and they're, very impressive pieces. So you can see last year's winners as well. So you can see all the winners on this page, as well as be able to view them in our Youth Leadership Summit.
Fabulous. Hey, that's a great job, Gina. Really, really good. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
no worries.
yeah, so what I'm trying to do as the country representative is to encourage the US cities that have a partnership in Russia to contact their partners in Russia to encourage them to have the youth, in their city to make submittals. So, and we're also, by the way, we're getting some help from the Union of Russian Cities. They are our partner, and I've contacted them, and they will be sending out a letter and contacting quite a number of the cities that are common members of the Union of Russian Cities and of Sister Cities International. So we're going at this from two ends. So any of you here on this, please contact your counterparts. And those of you who are from Russia, please contact your US counterparts and work this out. And the deadline is April 1. So we've got plenty of time. And so, there are, in addition to becoming winners, there's money involved too. So there's some prize awards. So that's great. Well, okay. Does anyone have any announcements? We've got just a few minutes here. Sort of just quick announcements for closing comments. Okay, well, thanks everyone for participating again. And we will be meeting in 2 months. In April will be our next roundtable. So we'll be in touch. Don't hesitate to get in contact with me directly. And again, thanks so much for participating. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. And thanks to our speakers, Elena and Lily and Jina. Very good. And we'll stop the recording.